Earlier this afternoon, we learned the FBI believes the suspect did not act alone in this attack. But again, law enforcement officials tell NBC there is not an active manhunt for any named suspects at this hour. Also under scrutiny at this hour is whether the security measures undertaken by the New Orleans police were sufficient to prevent this kind of attack. The city of New Orleans had been in the process of replacing the barriers in high-traffic areas around the French Quarter. New Orleans police superintendent said today that officials tried blocking those areas instead with police cars and officers, but that the attacker was able to drive around them. We're also, very sadly, beginning to get the names of the victims. Among them, 28-year-old Tiger Besh, who went to high school in Lafayette, Louisiana, and played wide receiver just a few years ago for Princeton University. Another was 37-year-old Reggie Hunter of Baton Rouge, a father of three. Also at this hour, we have our eye on Las Vegas, where a Tesla Cybertruck has exploded outside the Trump Hotel sometime before 9 a.m. local this morning. At least one person has died. 7 people were injured. For the latest on the investigation, we're joined by NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter. Tom, it's good to have you. What do we know about where this investigation stands at this hour?
So in New Orleans, Chris, the investigation, because we have an update as well on the Las Vegas investigation, but in New Orleans, that investigation, they're continuing to rule out potential individuals and try to determine who is seen in these videos near these 2 suspected IED devices. So let me just set the scene here.
Yeah.
On Bourbon Street, you've got the pickup truck, the white pickup truck that we've seen, which was driven down Bourbon Street, goes around a police car. There was no protection on the sidewalk, goes up on the sidewalk, goes down the street. You're looking at the aftermath that we're seeing here. Obviously horrific, 10 dead, close to 30 injured, a death toll that's believed to be rising or will be rising, just given the seriousness of the injuries. Close to the Superdome you're looking at on screen because, of course, that's where the Sugar Bowl was supposed to be played tonight. It's been postponed 24 hours. In that car, we're told additional weapons were found, as well as a potential improvised explosive device, some sort of a homemade bomb. And you're looking at now video of the sequence that I just outlaid of that car making that right turn around the police vehicle. Separately, Chris, there's 2 containers, and we've heard different descriptions for them, so I'm just going to call them containers for now, that might be improvised explosive devices that are near where this incident occurred in New Orleans. The question is, did somebody plant them there? And there's individuals that are seen looking at them, seen around them, but they may not have actually planted them. And in fact, it all may go back to the single act of this individual who's in the truck, who you previously identified. So that's the information that we're hearing at this hour. That's something the FBI is actively looking at. And so that's where the investigation stands. Obviously, an investigation that is fast-paced, that is occurring in real time as we speak here, and an investigation that's also occurring in Houston, where this individual's from. There's some law enforcement activity there. So things that are going on in 2 cities, and obviously all fast-paced.
Yeah, I just want to stay on this for 1 second, because I think under these circumstances, the best we can do is to be as transparent as possible what we do and don't know. Obviously, a lot of people saw the various press conferences, including one at which officials said, we do not believe he acted alone. There's a reporting about those videos. My understanding from your reporting, from what our colleague Ken Delanian said, was at this point, it is just an open question that is not definitively resolved in either direction about the possibility of accomplices. That's neither confirmed nor disconfirmed. It is a possibility that they are investigating. Is that a fair way of sort of stating where we're at?
Wouldn't change a word. 100%.
Okay.
That's exactly where this stands at this time. And so I think it's important, in these investigations, things pop up, they investigate them, and they say, well, you know what, that washes out. It's not a real avenue for us to pursue, and it's based on evidence or a potential avenue of evidence. 100%.
Okay. Let's talk about Las Vegas, because this has been a sort of interesting development. The images of the Cybertruck parked outside the Las Vegas Trump property went viral. I think people thought it was an accident and then no one was hurt. And so there was a sort of bizarre symbolism in that it was a Cybertruck, it was out Trump. As it's developed, it seems that this is being taken far more seriously. What have we learned about what authorities know and how they're investigating this?
Right, Chris. So according to the reporting of myself, my colleagues Andrew Blankstein and Kelly O'Donnell, Right now, 3 senior U.S. law enforcement officials say that this explosion of a Tesla Cybertruck, kind of in the portico there where you saw that smoke rising from in front of Trump's property in Las Vegas, is being investigated, at least initially, as a potential act of terrorism, and that it was, quote, intentional. And there was a person who was found deceased. That is the driver of that vehicle. There were 7 others that were injured as a result. And so they don't yet have a specific motive, but some things they've found in the investigation leads them to believe that this could have been some sort of a terrorist attack, or at least that they should investigate it as such. Interestingly, Chris, I know everybody's going to immediately say, okay, we have something that happens in New Orleans, we have something that happens in Las Vegas. The car that was used in Las Vegas, the Cybertruck, was actually rented from the same type of company. It's kind of like an Airbnb for cars as the car that was rented and used in New Orleans. So the driver of the vehicle, who's now deceased at the Trump International there in Las Vegas, used the same car company. But we are told from multiple senior law enforcement officials that there is no believed connection at this hour between what happened in Las Vegas and what happened in New Orleans. We want to make that perfectly clear. Again, no known connection between what happened in New Orleans and in Las Vegas. But obviously, the president-elect, soon to take office, it's his property in Vegas. There's been an explosion there. It involved a Cybertruck. So what message is somebody trying to send with that? That's something that has authorities in Las Vegas, federal, state, and local, quite concerned, quite interested in it. You're looking at the aftermath of it there on screen. In some other video was trying to verify, it appears that there's kind of an explosion, not a Oklahoma City style car bomb type, but definitely the rear of the Cybertruck pops out. There's a lot of smoke and kind of an explosive type of fireball type thing that occurs initially, and you're looking at the aftermath there on screen.
Yeah, so just let me stay with you for 1 second. I'm going to let you go and get back to reporting. But we don't have a publicly identified name for the suspect yet. But just to be clear, and I think this is obvious, but I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here, that this was not a vehicle malfunction, as I think people might have interpreted this morning, that reporting or indicates that there were some kind of explosives in the back of that vehicle. Right.
There was some sort of an effort to get that car to catch fire, to create some sort of an explosion. And this was not an incident of a Tesla car having an issue. This was quite clearly a deliberate act, we're told. And I would expect that there will be some additional security measures taken into account around similar Trump properties, even ones that the president-elect is not staying at.
All right. That was extremely clarifying, as always, Tom. Thank you for making some time. I'm on a very, very busy day. Appreciate it.
Got it.
Joining now is former New Orleans Mayor Mitch Landrieu. Mayor, it's good to have you. Obviously, a horrible day for your fantastic city, a place that is used to having lots of crowds, used to dealing with a lot of security. How are things in New Orleans at this hour?
Well, it's obviously a very terrible day. I mean, everybody's hearts are broken here. I mean, one of the things that we do really well in New Orleans is welcome the whole world to have a joyful time, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a Super Bowl, the Final Four, you know, the Sugar Bowl, Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, Essence Festival. That is one of the things that we do. So our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the victims. Secondly, just thank you to the 3 police officers who ran to the fire, obviously, literally in the middle of gunfire and took this terrorist out. And finally, to the medical professionals who do this better, unfortunately, than anybody else in the country. So our hearts are broken. But now is a moment where it's really important that there's clear command and control, clear coordination, clear communication between all the federal authorities, from the president to the Department of Homeland Security, FBI, ATF, all of those folks, the governor and the mayor, to figure out what happened, why it happened, and then, of course, to make sure that things are protected for tomorrow night when the Sugar Bowl is going to be here. And they're going to be 80,000 people in that Superdome, and they're about that as we speak. And then finding whether or not whether there are any other accomplices, which I know that there's a loose thread on, but we don't know what we don't know right now. And so they're working hard on figuring that out. We want to be able to support them.
Obviously, it's quite a thing to postpone the Sugar Bowl. 80,000 fans expected. That game was going to be played this evening. It will now be played tomorrow night. Are you confident that all of those agencies, from the federal to the local, can coordinate to make sure that that is going to be a safe and secure event?
Yeah, well, look, you've been to New Orleans many, many times, as have so many other people. I mean, one of the great wonders of New Orleans is that we have 30,000 hotel rooms within about a 35 square block area. So lots of people are walking all over the place all of the time. It can't be overstated that this particular individual wanted to kill a lot of people. And when that happens, that's very, very hard to protect against. But there are secure perimeters they can put in place. As I said, when the Super Bowl will be here, that's what they call a Tier 1 event. So the security measures will actually be broader. But between, I think, tonight and tomorrow night, all of the federal officials, the state officials, the local officials are working hard to make sure that the perimeter is secure. Unfortunately, when you have such a heinous act and a cowardly act by somebody like this, they're almost impossible to completely and totally prevent. But there are measures that you can take clearly to make it harder. And I know that they're working on that as we speak.
Yeah, and I would imagine for all the folks that are traveling to New Orleans or there now, in anticipation that things may take a little longer just to sort of get from point A to point B.
Right.
I passed through Times Square last night in New York City, and it's, you know, there's an expectation, understanding what's necessary to keep people safe under those conditions.
Yeah, you can understand. For example, Times Square is a perfect example. Although it was perfectly safe and secure last night, on a regular day, there are, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people that walk up and down that street. And if someone wanted to run over folks, it would be hard to fix. But for special events, there are perimeters that are set up. Tomorrow night, they're going to do everything they can, and I know they're working hard at it. But the most important thing is to make sure that there are no other perpetrators that were part of this. I know that they're working on it. I saw you report that there are folks in Houston, Texas right now. And by the way, this was an American citizen who amazingly was a military veteran. So it just is beyond belief, and it was a heinous act, and they've got to do everything they can to get after these guys and find them, and I know that they will.
Well, there's a lot of people across this country with a lot of love, enduring love for New Orleans, and we're all sending you all our best tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to everybody under really awful circumstances.
Same. All right, when we return, new information on the suspect in that deadly truck attack in New Orleans. We need to fit in a very short break, but our coverage is going to continue right after it. Don't go anywhere.
Each week on my podcast, I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests who help me take a big picture look at the issues, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, late night host Seth Meyers, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and many more. Why is this happening? Listen now.
This super complicated bomb is set to go off in about 52 seconds. SWAT team got another call, so I have to take a ride share home? And my wife wants to know how I feel about an open relationship. But I just got approved for a home equity line of credit with Better, so that's one less thing to worry about. Give yourself one less thing to worry about. Get Better Mortgage.
The holidays just got merrier and brighter.
It's been everything you'd expect and hope for.
Feast your eyes on Premier League festive fixtures on NBC and Peacock.
Each week on my podcast, I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests who help me take a big picture look at the issues, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, late night host Seth Meyers, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and many more. Why is this happening? Listen now.